Have you ever stopped to think about the sheer power of the mundane? We wake up, we brush our teeth, we eat breakfast, we go to work. It feels automatic. But what if I told you that within these repetitive, seemingly boring moments lies the secret to mastering a new skill, specifically a new language?
That is a fascinating way to frame it. We often look for the magic bullet in learning, the expensive course, the immersive trip abroad. But the reality is often much quieter. It's hidden in the coffee brewing, the commute, the way we talk to ourselves in the mirror. Today, we are dissecting a full-day routine based on the lives of two typical learners to see how structuring a day can transform English fluency from a chore into a lifestyle.
Exactly. We have a case study in front of us today that walks through a complete 24-hour cycle. It covers everything from the jarring sound of the alarm clock to the final thoughts before sleep. But we aren't just going to list activities. We want to analyze the why and the how. Why does starting the day with a specific mindset change your linguistic capability?
And how does narrating your own life, literally talking about your toast and eggs, bridge the gap between passive understanding and active speaking? It's about turning your life into a living classroom. Let's start where everyone starts, the morning. The material suggests a stark contrast between people who love the morning and those who, well, struggle with it.
Oh, the classic early bird versus night owl debate. The text mentions the difference between waking up to energetic possibilities versus hitting the snooze button 3 times. It's funny because that moment, waking up, is actually the first linguistic choice of the day.
It really is. If you wake up and your internal monologue is, "Oh no, not again," you set a negative tone. But looking at the routine we are analyzing, there is a deliberate shift. One character uses soft music, the other uses a harsh beep. But immediately after waking, they move into maintenance mode: hydration, stretching, brushing teeth.
Right. And while brushing teeth seems trivial for a language learner, it's a vocabulary goldmine. You aren't just cleaning, you are engaging in oral hygiene, you are scrubbing, you are rinsing. The text highlights a key habit here: drinking water immediately. Hydration wakes up the brain. If your brain is dehydrated, your cognitive processing, which you need for a second language, drops significantly.
That's a crucial biological point. You cannot learn effectively if your hardware, your brain, isn't primed. Then comes the movement, yoga or a 15-minute stretch. Why do you think physical movement is paired so often with successful learning routines?
I think it's about blood flow, sure, but it's also about discipline. The text notes that one character isn't always disciplined but tries. That word try is important. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to show up. And then we move to the anchor of the morning, breakfast.
The most important meal of the day, or so they say. But in our context, breakfast is a sensory experience. We have descriptions of crispy, golden brown toast, boiled eggs, green tea. This isn't just nutrition, it's description.
I love that distinction. When you are learning English, you shouldn't just eat. You should be describing the texture. Is the toast crunchy? Is the tea bitter or mild? The dialogue we are reviewing suggests practicing these descriptions aloud. I prefer orange juice over apple juice. It sounds simple, almost childish, but it builds the neural pathways for preference and comparison.
Precisely. It's low-stakes practice. If you mess up the grammar while talking to your toast, no one cares. But you are getting the reps in. Now, moving past the morning ritual, we hit the pivot point of the day: planning.
The to-do list. The text mentions writing things down: work, study, exercise. Why is the physical act of writing a plan so effective for learners?
It's the difference between abstract intent and concrete action. When you write, "I will study English for 1 hour," you are making a contract with yourself. Also, using the future tense, "I will go," "I will cook," is a grammatical exercise in itself. You are projecting yourself into the future. It organizes the chaos of the day into manageable blocks.
Speaking of chaos, let's talk about the workday. The scenario shifts to checking emails, dealing with colleagues, and the inevitable interruptions. There is a very specific social script mentioned: how to politely say no.
Ah, the art of the polite refusal. "I'm sorry, I'm a bit busy now. Can I help you later?" This is huge. In many cultures, direct refusal is rude. In English-speaking cultures, it's necessary but requires softeners. Words like sorry, a bit, or later. Mastering this protects your time without burning bridges.
It's a boundary-setting tool. And amidst this work, there is the study session. The characters discuss mixing reading with speaking aloud. This is something I wanted to ask you about. Why is reading aloud so much more effective than silent reading?
When you read silently, you can skip over pronunciation difficulties. Your brain autocorrects. When you read aloud, your mouth has to do the work. You realize, wait, I don't know how to say schedule or colleague correctly. It forces a synchronization between the visual word and the motor skills of speech. It's active, not passive.
That makes sense. It exposes the gaps in your knowledge. Now, let's slide into the afternoon, the energy dips. The text suggests a reset, a walk, music, or a hobby like drawing or playing guitar.
This is the concept of diffuse mode thinking. You've been in focused mode all morning: emails, study, logic. The afternoon hobby allows the brain to relax and consolidate what it learned. And interestingly, hobbies offer a whole new lexicon. If you play guitar, you learn strum, chord, tune. If you paint, you learn shade, canvas, brushstroke.
So, you're saying that having a hobby isn't a distraction from learning English? It's just another domain to conquer?
Absolutely. In fact, you learn faster when the subject matter interests you. You aren't studying English, you are studying guitar in English. The emotional connection to the subject makes the vocabulary stick.
That brings us to the evening, the transition from the doing mode of work to the being mode of home. The text focuses heavily on cooking dinner. Spaghetti, grilled chicken, chopping vegetables?
Cooking is practically a laboratory for imperative verbs. Chop, boil, stir, fry, season. It's a very physical process. The suggestion here is to narrate the cooking process like a TV chef. Now, I am adding the salt. I am stirring the sauce.
It sounds a bit funny, talking to yourself in the kitchen, but I can see the value. You are connecting the action directly to the word. You don't need to translate from your native language because you are seeing the action and saying the word simultaneously.
Exactly. It bypasses translation. And then comes the social aspect, dinner with family or calling a friend. The prompt emphasizes asking simple questions. How was your day? What did you eat? It seems basic, but this is the glue of social interaction. Small talk is actually a very high-level skill.
It is. It requires empathy, listening, and follow-up questions. You can't just script it. You have to react. And after the social time, we wind down. The night routine. Tidy up, wash dishes, prepare for tomorrow.
This part struck me as very psychological. Tidying up the physical space to tidy up the mental space. The text mentions that seeing everything in order reduces stress. If you are stressed, your cortisol levels go up and your ability to retain memory, vocabulary, grammar rules goes down. So cleaning your room is actually a study aid.
That is a profound connection. A messy desk equals a messy mind. And then the final linguistic act of the day, journaling and reflection. The characters ask themselves, did I finish my tasks? Did I practice enough?
Reflection is the feedback loop. If you don't reflect, you don't know if you are improving. Writing just 3 to 5 sentences about the day, I cooked pasta, I felt tired, I learned a new word, solidifies the memory of the day. It transfers the day's events from short-term memory into long-term narrative memory.
It's like saving a file on your computer before shutting it down. If you don't save, you lose the data. Journaling is the save button for your life.
That is a perfect metaphor. And finally, sleep. The text advises turning off bright lights, breathing deeply, and prioritizing rest. We often view sleep as lost time, but biologically, that is when the brain actually builds the connections for the new language you learned.
So, if you study all day and then sleep 4 hours, you've wasted a lot of that effort?
Precisely. Sleep is when the neuroplasticity happens. It's when colleague and schedule and marinate get filed into the permanent library of your brain.
Looking back at this full day, from the morning stretch to the night journal, it's clear that fluency isn't about sitting at a desk for 8 hours. It's about weaving the language into the fabric of your existence.
It is immersive living. You don't have to live in an English-speaking country to immerse yourself. You just have to narrate your life, plan your life, and reflect on your life in that target language.
It turns the mundane into the magical, as we said at the start. Every cup of coffee is a lesson. Every email is a test. Every sunset is a chance for reflection.
And that consistency, doing it every single day, is far more powerful than any intense one-off cram session.
So, to our listeners, take a look at your tomorrow. Where can you insert these little moments of narration? Where can you turn a routine into a ritual?
Don't just live your day, speak your day.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. Thank you for diving into the architecture of daily life with us.
It was a pleasure. Until next time.
Goodbye.